Week 1 of college football is officially done for the Wisconsin Badgers. They pull off a 28-14 victory here over the Western Michigan Broncos. A good win here for the team to start off the season. They ended up winning here at Camp Randall Stadium, a Friday night game here for the fans. A pretty packed crowd, if we're being honest, including the student section, which I'm sure many are thinking about. But let's get into this game, the good and the bad, because there was a good amount of both here in Week 1. Starting off with the good. First of all, Wisconsin got the win. And they showed some resilience in this one. You know, Wisconsin was down 14-13 early in the fourth quarter. They ended up putting together 2 straight touchdown drives, one that was saved by a punt that ended up being a fumble because it hit off a Western Michigan player. Wisconsin recovers it in the red zone or near the red zone, and they ended up scoring a touchdown on that drive, scored a touchdown on the ensuing drive. They went from down 14-13 to winning 28-14 here in the fourth quarter. A nice little comeback at the end, showcasing some of their resilience. The run game was a big feature, 46 carries in total. Yes, some came at the end of the game, but overall Wisconsin heavily relied on the run game, and there weren't many explosive plays, but there were a lot of small gains that churned out between both Tawi Walker, who ended up with 18 carries on the day, I believe around 66 yards. Ches Belusi had 76 yards on 19 carries. Both ended up with the touchdown, and so a fairly productive day for both guys who got a significant workload in the run game. But Wisconsin scored 28 points in this one. That was the key marker. You know, they were able to push this lead to double digits late in the fourth quarter. That was a big win. Elsewhere, you got to talk about the defense because, once again, they held Western Michigan to only 14 points. Those came on 2 red zone drives. One of them was a bit of a fluke. You had the 4th down punt return, or a fake punt, that Western Michigan successfully kind of deked out the Wisconsin defense / special teams, ended up getting deep in the red zone. You score a touchdown off that one. And the second one, Western Michigan goes on the heels of their run game, led by star running back Jalen Buckley. They ended up scoring a touchdown there as well. So 14 points given up by the defense, but they had a couple of key moments. You know, a big stop near midfield for a turnover on downs that gave the offense possession. Elsewhere, they also had a stop near their own 31-yard line. Didn't allow Western Michigan to get in the red zone. That led to a missed field goal attempt. So 2 big scoring opportunities off the board for Western Michigan because of the Badgers' defense. Hunter Wohler, star safety, thought that there was a pretty productive day for the defense. Obviously, things to improve on, as always, but he thought that it was a good day for the defense. Let's get to some of the bad, or maybe things that Wisconsin really needs to improve on. The red zone. Wisconsin started off the day 1 for 4 in the red zone when trying to score touchdowns. Their first drive was a missed field goal attempt, a chip shot for Nathaniel Vacos, 36 yards. He ended up kicking it wide right, really didn't come close. Then you had a touchdown and then 2 field goal attempts for Vacos. That ended up giving Wisconsin a 13-7 lead at halftime. Luke Fickell talked about this as maybe the most glaring issue on the team for the team right now, because Wisconsin had the red zone issues last year. You thought that, you know, a year or 2 in the system, a little more cohesion, and some improvement from offensive coordinator Phil Longo would lead to some things, but ultimately Wisconsin struggled in the red zone once again. 1 for 4 in their first 4 opportunities. That kept this game close, much closer than it really should have been, even though Western Michigan was pretty, testy with their play on both sides of the ball. Wisconsin ultimately scored touchdowns on their final 2 drives, but still, you don't want to be 50% of the red zone, and you especially don't want to start 1 for 4. They had to improve there. Elsewhere, the downfield passing attack was not really there at all for the Badgers today. When you look at the way that Tyler Van Dyke threw the ball, had 196 passing yards, but only 5.3 yards per attempt. Only 1 true downfield ball, an incompletion on a go route to Bryson Green near the end zone, just overthrown from Van Dyke, not necessarily on target. Elsewhere, not really many deep shots tried. Wisconsin didn't even have a play over 20 yards in the passing game. The longest was 17 yards, which came with a good amount of yak. In fact, 102 of their 196 yards came after the catch in this game. So that can kind of tell you how this game ultimately went. So the Badgers, they got some things to improve on because they showed a bit of the downfield passing attack in training camp. You have Tyler Van Dyke with a strong arm, but they were not able to really get much going against the Western Michigan defense, the same one that ranked 89th last year in yards given up at over 400 yards per game. So, definitely some things to work on. I think the offensive coordinator, Phil Longo, he's probably going to look at the drawing board, see what to improve. you just want some more, maybe not as ugly of a game when it comes to the grimy part of it. But nonetheless, Wisconsin showcased its resilience, adversity in week 1, and they overcame it. Win 28-14, and they ultimately are going to head out 1-0 going into week 2. We'll see what happens from here on out. But the Badgers start their season with the W, and they're going to continue on next weekend against South Dakota. See you then.